amazing? And Faith, you are amazing. Thank you so much. There's something about following Faith. I'm kind of good. I kind of don't need to go any farther. I just get to rise up following Faith. And there we go. How is everyone this morning? Oh my goodness, you don't know how happy I am to see you. My heart is like racing because you showed up. I'm like super grateful that you showed up. Thank you for being here today. Thank you. This is my home. This is my home. I've been here for a really long time and love every moment of it. And this morning I noticed that even in the service right before here, that every time I look up and see the meditative thoughts, see the affirmations, that I'm still, like my heart still races because it just feels so good. The music, every prayer, this house is packed of consciousness. There's no lack of consciousness at Agape. So you arrived in the perfect spot right here. So I invite you to grab a whole bunch of consciousness today and let it rise up within you while we're going through this talk. Is that agreed? Lovely, lovely. Because there's a whole house of practitioners, whole house of ministers that have been praying for you before you got here. How does that feel? Like people have been praying for you before you even woke up. They were here praying, knowing that you were showing up exactly who's supposed to show up today to catch the message that is meant for you, whatever that is, which is going to be different for everyone, but same for all of us because we're all in the one field of consciousness, yes? Yeah. So who's ready to rise up and stretch today? Oh, I love it. All those hands in the air. There's a song about that, but don't ask me to sing because I'm better at talking. Okay, so, but I do want you to stretch. You're going to pretend this is your yoga class. Everybody just give a big stretch. Stretch like you're in seated yoga. Put your hands around the person or on each side. Tell them how beautiful they are, how gorgeous they are. Tell them, are you ready to stretch? And then tell them, I'm ready to stretch. And let's do this together. Fabulous. In agreement, hug, and you're good. So it is. Brilliant. It is time to stretch for many reasons. For many super reasons. Has anyone noticed in the last little while that things were a little intense? Things were intense. Somebody looked at me and said, it's that Mercury thing. That Mercury thing. And I was like, okay, I don't always follow that, but I know some really dear people in my life do, and told me just to hang on. They said, July, just hang on. There's this retrograde thing happening, and everybody was holding on till August 1st. It was like, could August 1st just get here? And when it did, we get to remember that there's more stretching. See, we don't ever stop stretching. We have this opportunity to become masterful at the laws of the universe because we're willing to stretch. And if we're not willing to stretch, we cannot become masterful of the laws of the universe. So we must be willing to allow our bodies, minds, and souls to stretch us right through whatever circumstance comes before us. So that's why we're stretching today. In and out and everywhere, we're stretching today. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I just feel like I'm bubbling up in joy. I want to acknowledge my wonderful parents who are in the second row. Sorry. I have a mom and dad that watch me stretch a lot. Sometimes they pick me up when I'm stretching. Sometimes they push me out the door. But they keep loving me through all my stretches. And there's been a lot of stretches going on lately. So in this community where I've been for so long and loving this community that keeps holding me while I grow and stretch and evolve, I get to have the opportunity to do that with you. And what I want to invite you to do today is to look at what we're about to talk about and think of where is my stretch in my life. Like as we come here every Sunday, we have the opportunity to know there's more going on within me, and I've got to find my inner stretch by whatever person is talking on the stage today to understand more of myself. You came here on point, you came here on purpose to catch the vision for you. And if it comes through from the neighbor, from me, I want you to catch it, because for the intention to be masterful in life, we must rise up in our spiritual practice. Did everyone notice all the beautiful technology on the screen today? We get to see Reverend Michael while he's in D.C. We get to find out about the Rhythmia Love app. I love Rhythmia, so I'm going to love that. Like, we have technology everywhere. Right in this moment, you could pick up your phone, you could text someone across the world, wake them up, or say goodnight to them, whatever you wish, but you have the ability to gather information of the world in seconds. It's a beautiful thing. And you have another technology that's right at the center of your soul that you are absolutely present to, and that technology, to me, is what I'm interested in. We have a spiritual technology that's absolutely our core beingness. We came in with it, you were born with it, it came with you in your DNA when you were born and came through the birth channel and took your first breath. Right then, you had your spiritual wisdom. Your opportunity is to keep growing it and remembering it every day. Like, what did I know then that I must remember now? We are on a constant wake up, a constant stretch in everyday living. So that if we see technology of the world that helps us move forward, we must rise up in our spiritual technology to be masters of all of technology. So our spiritual technology is that place where we connect to source, where we absolutely know the divine essence within us is moving us through whatever roller coaster in life we're on. When you're on a roller coaster, your hands are either straight in the air, screaming in delight, or you're holding on with dear life, thinking this thing's just got to end any minute. But you have a choice. Am I going to be in delight, or I'm going to hold on and constrict? You always have a choice. Your spiritual just source, backbone, brings you to the opportunity to choose again. With every day, you get to choose again. You get to begin again. Every time you wake up, it's a brand new day to rise up and say, what do I choose today? I know what went down yesterday, but can I bless it and let go and get back to what's the business of this day? Because this day has a message for you that I want you to catch, and I want you to live, and I want you to illuminate. So to do that, I'm asking every single one of you to open your heart wide. Because I want to go on a ride, but I want you to open your heart wide. You could tell I'm the kind of gal that on the roller coaster, I'm like this. Eyes open and let's go. Can we do that one more time, please? I just went to the fair. Mom and Dad wouldn't take the roller coaster ride with me because they said it was going to be too bumpy. I should have got on that ride anyway, next time. So, open your hearts. I want you to just open your hearts. Something has occurred recently in my life that gave me the opportunity to have a major cleanse. A life cleanse. A cleanse of every structure of my life cleanse. Not a juice cleanse. A juice cleanse would have tasted really yummy. This is not so much. This was a whole different kind of cleanse. This was hitting up against something that had to shift, and I had to go through a transformation. Whether I wanted to or not, I got to choose to. Has anybody been in that position lately? Yeah. So I welcome you to right now remembering that when you hit up against it, there's something that wants to be revealed under it that's trying to birth itself through you to transform in the midst of a circumstance. For years, while I was in the midst of other circumstances, I've had a few, haven't we all? And while I was in the midst of them, I had this one constant, beautiful, I had many constants, but this one I'm thinking of now was Reverend Michael and Reverend Kathleen would stand next to me and say to me, what's your growing edge, Kimberly? Because you got to grow. If I got stuck in the problems of my life, I would not grow because the problems in the story were really big. And really good stories, but I could stay in them. And the two of them stood there and went, right now, what is your growing edge? Because when you get more interested in what do I have to grow, what is my spiritual technology going to get me through so that I'm not going down, I'm rising up in it. That's what we get to keep being interested in. So back to my cleanse, life cleanse. I think it was about 9 months ago in 2 days. Who's counting? It was just, and if you want to know the hours, I could count those down, but I don't think I'll go there. So about 9 months ago in 2 days, everything in life had a big change. You know those that you kind of go, whoa, I don't recognize who I was back there. It was a Thursday. I can't remember. Wow, that's funny. It was a Thursday. And I was saying goodbye to a client. I opened the door of my office to say goodbye to a client. And I live up in the Malibu Mountains, way up in the mountains, and I have a beautiful retreat center. And my office was there where I see clients. I've been so grateful to be a practitioner here for years and have seen clients for years and had retreats there. We have our practitioner initiation at the property last year. It was beautiful. You got the picture. I love my home. And I opened the door to say goodbye to my client, and right then I knew something was brewing. And I smelled something different, and when you live in the Malibu Mountains, you have a sensitivity to different smells. And as I smelled that and said goodbye to her, I went in the house and called the fire department and said, Captain, is there a fire going on right now? And he said, you're absolutely right, Kim. There's actually 2 going on right now, and you're right in the middle of them. And I said, but when he told me the location, I knew one was quite a ways away. The other one, they both seemed quite a ways away. I had plenty of time, space, room. And he said, you know what to do. Now, about 1.5 years ago, my talk at Agape was titled Ready, Set, Go. Does anyone know what that stands for? Firemen in the house? We'll tell you, ready, set, go. Those are the words you use when you are told that by a fireman. That means get your stuff together because you have to be ready and set and you're going out the door. I had that talk at Agape right after my parents went through a fire in Ojai. So here I had that talk. 6 months after that, I had a talk called Freedom in the Free Fall. I'm only giving you this information to tell you that it is funny how Spirit was preparing me for that day 9 months ago. Everything prepares us for what's about to come and prepares us, if we're interested, with the tools to move through it. We must be interested in cultivating our spiritual wisdom while life is happening, whether it's going easy or hard, so that when the challenges come, we are looking at the challenge, but it is looking back at us and is pretty terrified. We only get that when we keep our spiritual technology ample and used in practice, in meditation, in prayer, intention, regularly, daily, not just when it feels good. All right? Okay, so where was I? This is important. Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, I get on a tangent sometimes. Anyway, I'm in the house, called the fire department, knew things were far away, and at the same time, I had friends starting to call and say, get out. And every time I said, it's far away, we're fine, we're okay. Now I'm at the house by myself, and I have 2 huge dogs, and my car's about this big. So I knew I had just enough room for 2 huge dogs and me in the car, but I was home alone is the point. And through the night, at about 10 o'clock at night, my daughter, my beautiful daughter, came home because her boyfriend had been evacuated from his college, and they needed a place to come to, so they came home. Now, this is vitally important because in the midst of challenges and disasters, miracles are birthed. Please hear that. Miracles are birthed when we are pressed against the wall of hardship. This was my first miracle. She showed up. So she showed up to be at home and said, Mom, I think we got to go. And I said, honey, I don't think we have to go yet. It's far away. We'll wait and see. We'll wait in the morning. We'll see how it is in the morning. So about midnight, 12:15, we go to bed. And as we go to bed, my phone's close by. The technology on my phone stopped working somehow that night. There was no technology happening on my phone. Lila's phone at 2:15 started literally exploding with warning signs of get out now. So Lila's not there. My phone never went off. I wouldn't have known to leave. I would have slept right through it when my neighbors were running only hours later. So Lila comes in and says, Mom, we got to go. It's like they're evacuating right down the hill. The fire's now jumped the freeway. We got to go. So we got up, packed the car. Because she was there, the next miracle, I was able to hand her a couple things. My computer could go in her boyfriend's car. The bunny could go in the boyfriend's car. And my dogs and myself could be in mine. She gets ready to leave. And I stopped and went, wait a minute, I got to go back through the house one more time. I just need to go through the house. And she goes, Mom, we got to go. And I said, I'll see you at the bottom of the hill. We're going different directions. I'll see you there, but I'll be fine. So I walk in the house, and for the love of me, I was walking in not to say goodbye. I was walking in to bless the place that was filled with so much love, that had been the safety zone for my children and I, that had been the place for us to be, our hub, that people had come and prayed there. People have had huge transformations in this beautiful property. And I walked in every room and just said a blessing to every room and thanking it for just being the space of such love. And I got to my office, And I had a massive library. You can imagine if you've been at Agape for as long as I have. I take notes at every single sermon. I have absolutely books and classes of all these brilliant practitioners and ministers everywhere, and it's packed. And all of a sudden I stop and listen to Spirit, and Spirit said, just pause. And I looked up and thought, what could I not live without? I don't know why I asked that question. And grabbed the 2 books that are my heart and soul, which is Spiritual Liberation by Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, and this thing called You by Ernest Holmes. And I grabbed them, and they're tattered, and they're well-used and well-loved. They're right here. My 2 books were left. And I took them, but when I took them, the row right above was filled with all my journals. Journals of years, journals of beautiful content, of processing, and the 2 journals that I've written to my kids since the day they were born. And it was like I was able to scoop those up and throw them in a bag and go out the door, not knowing I would never come back to that place that I called home. But I went out the door and went down the road, went to Mom and Dad's, woke them up, stayed there for, it was about 36 hours before I knew that everything, the fire had just blown through our canyon like a storm at 70 miles an hour and took everything in its path. That there was nothing left. Miracle number 2. I know you're wondering, how did a miracle come from that? Miracle number 2 was the way I found out was not that I had to catch it on the news. And sorry if this one gets me choked up, because my beautiful godson had to take that hit. And he's here, and he had to be the one to see it on the news and know, her house is gone. And there's only one way he was able to recognize my house out of hundreds in my community were gone, was because Spirit had me, just years before, had me built a massive heart in my backyard. I mean, it was the size of this stage. And it was all induced because years prior, when I would wake up every morning, I'd go outside and say my morning prayers for all my clients, my family, all of you, the Agape community, and I stand in the earth and just stand there to say my morning prayers. And Spirit told me once, build a massive heart here. So I did. Little did I know it was the home of weddings, memorial services during the years. It was the home of the practitioner initiation. It was sacred ground. That heart is how we knew my house was gone, because the only thing that could be seen from the helicopter news reporter as they zoomed down was this massive heart beating in the middle of this rubble. It was present even though the house was gone. So the heartbeat of the land was not giving up to anything. It was still completely present in the moment. And the next miracle was the person that told me about it is in this room and loves me enough that he got to tell me, not some news reporter. I got to be loved up, even though he was choked up with, I have to tell you this. It's gone. It's all gone. But the beautiful part was the physical stuff was gone. Did it hurt? Yes. But the truth was, I was so loved up by my community, by this community, by my family, by my friends, by the almighty presence that I've been working with and praying with my entire life. I had something to pull me up through a lot of rubble and say, your heart is still beating. It's still beating, and we're not stopping. So soon after that, I was able to get up to the property, and actually the joke is, it really wasn't that soon. We weren't allowed up there for about 6.5 weeks. Could you imagine? It was like, nope, not this weekend. Nope, not this weekend. They just wouldn't let us up. It was too dangerous. Well, I had a really dear friend who snuck me up a back road in the middle of the night. I cannot disclose his name. Snuck me up, got me back there so he could pull up in the driveway and I could get out of his truck and just stand there. And thank goodness he had some arms to hold me. As I just looked at it like, oh my goodness, what happened here? Because it literally was unrecognizable. The home that I knew was unrecognizable. And in the midst of it, as I hit the floor on my knees and was crying, in the midst of it, I looked up through the tears and there was one thing standing, one thing that was rising. The heart was in the back and there was this beautiful goddess, Kuan Yin, just the goddess of compassion, standing in the middle of the rubble, completely unriveted by the storm that had passed through in the middle of the night. She was beating just this gorgeous, gorgeous, huge structure that I thought, she's still looking at me saying, It's okay, I've got you. We're going to move through this. There's hope in the midst of the disaster if we only seek it. There's tools to pull us up out of it, whether it's a beating heart or a goddess that's staring at us to say, get up. But we do not stay down and get stuck in the rubble. That is not our place. Our place is to keep rising up and catching the gifts that are in the midst of the transformation. There's a transformation going on there. It wasn't that something happened to me. I could have stayed there, but it wasn't going to serve me. What happened was there's a disaster that happened into our state, not just that area, Northern California. It hit hard. And when a disaster happens, we come together and rise up together. I was not alone. I have this community. I have each and every one of you to pick me up and use our spiritual muscles that must be fine-tuned way before the disaster hits. We don't wait for it to come and then say, what do I do now? We wait when it comes. We rise up in the midst of it and lean into prayer, lean into intention, lean into meditation, lean into all the spiritual technology that we have at our fingertips. This is what we get to practice each and every day is, how do I move through this? Because whatever you're bringing to the circumstance is your opportunity to have a transformation in it. Whether it's a death in the family, whether it's a change of circumstances, a loss of a job, an illness, you have your consciousness to rise up and bump up against it. And when you bump up against it, it's looking back at you terrified, as I said, because mighty you with your DNA in you that came in completely prepared for this journey, you did. You did. You came in prepared for this journey, and we get to wake up anything that where we forgot, and we get to do it together. A place that looks like a disaster is just a place of transformation. Are you catching this? It's our opportunity to keep growing and stretching. What tool do I get to use now? What gets to rise up in me because this is here? A month later, someone looked at me and said, how can you pray and even believe in everything you teach? You just lost everything. And I was stunned for a minute, and I looked at him and I went, how could I not? This is no time to abandon God. This is no time for me to say this doesn't work. Because this is the time that I lean in. This is the time with whatever's facing you right now. I'm asking you to lean in and allow the power and the presence of the Almighty to open your wings and help you fly. Because you are here to soar over top of it. You are not here to stay stuck in it. We have each other to just lift us, move or just dust the dust off and keep going forward. Prayed up, lifted all through every situation because your consciousness is bigger than any circumstance that comes to you. Stand in your consciousness because it is bigger than anything. My consciousness was not contained in a structure of a thing called home. I love my home. It was great. But my consciousness is bigger than that, much bigger than that. And it can't be stuck just and defined by that. See, I'm asking you to take whatever you're facing right now and allow it to be your catapulting force to know, what am I rising in here? What must grow in me for me to move through this with grace and elegancy and power and presence that I remember what I had when I first came into this body temple. I want you to remember and wake up and keep it with you at every given moment, that your stretch is not just in yoga class. It's everywhere, that you stretch everywhere you go. You lean into every conversation. You say yes and thank you more often than no. So Reverend Michael called me the day after that, as of course he would, to see if I was okay. And when I got to the part about the books, he burst into joy. Now, you can imagine the day after this that I'm going, Rev, and he goes, you grabbed what books? And I go, I grabbed yours. He was like, oh, that's brilliant news, Kimberly. I'm so glad you grabbed that book. That is such a testament to what you believe in and what you know. And I said, because I love this book. So they're in the bookstore. You could see Akili after this. Those two books, he's got plenty of them. Do not leave home without them. I didn't, right? I didn't leave home without them. And if that's what I've got right now are those two treasures and my beautiful children and the dogs and my family and my friends, a house will be rebuilt. Our bodies and minds get to stretch as it continues to be rebuilt. When that happened, I took on a couple of things. But the one I really took on, because I love intentions, was I had an intention to stand in flexibility and fluidity. I thought, if I'm going to go through this, which I'm saying yes to, I'm not backing out, then what is the qualities I need to help me through this? What is my growing age? I think I'm pretty flexible. And yet, I'm about to come right face front into doing something I've never done before. To live in the land of what's this going to be like, this chapter. There's lots of times it's like, I wonder where I'm sleeping. I'm not quite sure. I might be here tonight. Who knows? But if I didn't take on the quality in the midst of the challenge, I would be stuck by it. Are you catching that? I want you to ask yourself, what is the quality within me that must be birthed right now, has to come through me? Because for me to move through this challenge, I must birth a quality that is bigger than the challenge so that the challenge bows and I rise. You are here to rise. With every situation, I just see you in full flight, rising to whatever is there. There is nothing too big. Catch this today. There's nothing too big for Spirit. Spirit didn't say, I'll take on that, but that one over there. Whew. No, Kimberly. Not helping you with that one. Never said that. Never heard it. All I hear when I say prayers is yes, yes, yes. Keep going. Yes, yes, yes. I've never heard a no from Spirit. I'm not going to hear one now. So how big is your yes in the midst of your challenge for you to grow through it and get to the other side so that you are always rising, flying, and soaring in the midst of life experience from this moment on? Who's in for that? Yes. That's my call to you, to take your opportunity, your stretch, and take it into the next level of the evolution of your soul through your spiritual technology, and then bless your other technology to know, I'm looking at that, but I've got this. Right? Absolutely. This is where we're living from this moment onward. Rising up in all technology as one, as a community that loves fully, as individuals that are remembering who they are and continue to stretch from this moment on. And that is what I have to say to you. I'm so grateful you're here. So grateful you're here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you. You are all my answered prayer. You have to know that. You are all my answered prayer. And I'm so grateful you're here. Let me just say a prayer for all of us right now, please, and blessing our beautiful Reverend Michael. In the power and the presence of the one mind, one life, one knowing, one God, one powerful God, unlimited by its very nature, I'm knowing, absolutely knowing, that this oneness with the Almighty Presence run through myself and every individual in this room and across the globe. God is, I am. God is, I am. God is, I am. Presence of unconditional love, unconditional givingness, that there's a givingness that is always in the overflow. There is never a lack in the Almighty Presence. There's always more to be revealed. And this unlimited nature lives in each and every one of us in the overflow. And we become so interested today in catching the overflow in our body temples that lack does not exist anymore. Hesitation does not exist anymore. We lean in together as a community to whatever comes before us. In the world or in our personal lives, we lean in. And we bring with us the spiritual technology that came in with us when we were born to rise us up and allow our lights to shine so brilliantly that whatever is before us, it melts. And we remember again that love is leading the way. Love is leading the way. In this moment and every moment, I bless this beautiful community. I bless us all. I bless us that our wake up is pure. I bless us that we remember in the presence of one another who we are, and that we move with such a strength together that we are always grace-filled, love-filled, and knowing that just by the simple glance of one another, that we made an agreement to stand tall and remember who we are and to live the truth of what we know, that life is miraculous. And in the miraculous, we are willing to transform. Willing to transform. I bless Reverend Michael right where he is at. I bless his willingness to transform on our behalf. I bless his yes. And I bless this beautiful community and every minister, every practitioner, every congregant, everyone who walks in the door and everybody who goes back out. We are blessed as one. And all love streamers are with us right here, right now, not based by location, based in our true consciousness of pure, unlimited love. We live here, we dance here, we just have a heartbeat together here, and for this I'm eternally grateful. All issues before us fall, and we stand tall in truth. And with this, I easily, effortlessly, lovingly let go, for there's nothing for me to hold on to, nothing. I trust the Almighty Presence so much that my let go is pure and complete. And in gratitude, I simply say and joyfully, lovefully say, and so it is. Amen. Amen. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. So grateful.
Give Kimberly some more love and appreciation.